King David spoke these words in Psalm 51, verse 10. He said, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." If you are starting your day feeling somewhat bruised or simply exhausted by the invisible opposition of daily life, I would like to give you this truth to hold on to. You do not have to let your heart become a storage room for things that were meant to be washed away. In other words, do not allow the dust of yesterday to dictate the peace of your morning. Don't let your spirit surrender to the residue of past offenses. If you have accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then you have access to a daily, living mercy, all mercy that meets you in the quiet of the dawn. You have every reason to step into this new day unburdened. You have every reason not to carry the weight of the world inside your chest. Because the truth is, the condition of your day will almost always follow the condition of your heart. Before we go any deeper, I need to stop here for just a moment. Because what we are about to unpack, the condition of your heart shaping the condition of your day, Jesus spoke directly into that, not just in general terms. He encoded the specific mechanics of how a clean heart actually changes your reality, your finances, your relationships, your peace, into his parables. Hidden truths that most people read right past for their entire lives. I left something in the first pinned comment below this video that goes into exactly that. Go check it before we continue. What is there connects directly to what this morning is asking of you? I believe the reason we so desperately need to ask God for a clean heart each morning is that the world we walk through is heavy. And the heaviest things we carry are rarely physical. They are the unspoken disappointments. They are the subtle rejections we pretend didn't hurt. They are the anxieties that masquerade as responsibility. We often think of needing a clean heart only when we have made some grave, obvious mistake. But spiritual weariness doesn't always announce itself with a loud failure. More often, it is like dust settling in a quiet room. You don't notice it falling. It happens invisibly, grain by grain, until one day you look through the glass and realize the light can no longer get in. Your heart operates the exact same way. Throughout your day, you absorb things. You hear words that plant seeds of doubt. You face situations that leave a residue of fear. You encounter people whose own unresolved pain spills over onto you. And if you do not bring that quiet accumulation to the Lord, you begin to accept a clouded vision as your normal reality. You start operating from a place of defense rather than a place of peace. But the Lord never intended for you to navigate life carrying the debris of this world in your chest. When David asked God to create a clean heart within him, he wasn't just asking for a pardon. He was asking for a restoration of clarity. He was recognizing that a polluted heart fundamentally changes how we see God, how we perceive our struggles, and how we view ourselves. If your spirit is bent over under the weight of offenses you haven't released, you won't have the posture to receive what God is handing you right now. The morning is a sacred threshold. Before the demands of life pull at you, before the enemy reminds you of your fears, There is this quiet window of grace, a moment to stand before the Creator and simply say, "Lord, empty me of what is not yours. Wash the lens of my heart." There is a very specific exhaustion that comes from trying to protect your own heart. We spend so much of our energy defending ourselves from the world. We build walls. We calculate risks. We remember the times we were let down, the times things didn't work out, and we use those memories as bricks to build a fortress around our emotions. But the problem with a fortress is that eventually it becomes a prison. When Ezekiel 36 verse 26 says, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh," it speaks directly to this human condition. A heart of stone isn't necessarily a wicked heart. Often, it is simply a wounded heart that has hardened itself just to survive. It is a heart that has grown rigid from carrying too much for too long without any relief. Perhaps you recognize that rigidity in yourself today. You feel it in how quickly you lose your patience over small things. You feel it in that low-grade anxiety that constantly hums in the background of your mind. You feel it in the way you brace for impact, expecting the worst, even when nothing is currently going wrong. What you are recognizing right now, that rigidity, that bracing, that hardened place in your chest, that is exactly what Jesus spoke into in his parables. The hidden layer underneath the surface story. The practical truth about how a heart softened by grace changes what you receive, what you build, what you carry. The people who walk light through hard seasons are not just praying more. They understand something specific, something that is in the first pinned comment below this video right now. Go find it before the day pulls you away from this moment. The link is there. It will not stay at this level of access indefinitely. God sees that posture. He sees the quiet tension you carry. And He is inviting you into a completely different way of living. He is inviting you to lay down your armor. To ask the Lord to cleanse your heart is to ask Him to break up the hardened soil of your soul. It is an act of profound vulnerability. It means sitting in the quiet, just you and Him, with no one else in the room to perform for, no one else's expectations to manage, and admitting that your own strength has finally run out. You do not have to clean yourself up to invite Him in. He is the one who does the washing. He is the one who brings the living water. Your only task this morning is to stop hiding the dirt, to stop pretending the wounds don't ache. When you surrender your heart to His hands, He doesn't handle it roughly. He tends to it with the precision of a craftsman and the gentleness of a father. He gently washes away the bitterness that has been quietly poisoning your joy. He removes the heavy stone of resentment and replaces it with a heart that is soft enough to hear His voice again. A heart that can breathe. Consider the nature of dry land. When the soil has been parched for a long period of time, it develops a hard, impenetrable crust. When the rain finally falls, the ground cannot even drink it in. The water simply pools and runs off the surface, leaving the roots beneath completely dry. The earth has to be gently broken and softened before it can truly be restored. Our minds and our spirits do the exact same thing. We endure a long, quiet season of stress. We go through a dry valley of waiting or mournings, and we develop this hard outer shell just to get through the days. Then we ask God for peace. We listen to His word. We pray. But sometimes it feels like it just runs off the surface. We wonder why we don't feel the comfort we are asking for. It is because a heart that is filled with the deafening noise of mere survival cannot easily absorb the quietness of grace. This is why the morning is so crucial. True, deep renewal doesn't usually happen in the middle of the crowd. It happens in the solitary moments before the world wakes up and demands your attention. Think about how Jesus walked this earth. He constantly slipped away to the quiet places, to the wilderness, just to be alone with the Father. If the Son of God needed to sit in the stillness to align His spirit before facing the opposition of the day, how much more do you and I need that quiet recalibration? To ask the Lord to cleanse your heart is to ask Him to break that hard crust. It is standing before Him and saying, "Lord, I know how I operate when I run on my own empty fumes. I know how quickly my patience fractures. I know how easily I let fear sit in the driver's seat. Soften my ground." When God answers that prayer, He doesn't always change the circumstances waiting outside your door. The difficult person you have to deal with today will probably still be difficult. The silent battle you are fighting might still require you to stand firm. The mountains haven't vanished, but you have changed. Your vision is clear. You are no longer reacting to today's problems using yesterday's pain. You are stepping into the hours ahead, not with a heavy, cluttered mind, but with a spirit that is anchored, light, and held firmly by the hand of God. You walk differently when you know your soul has been washed. There is a profound difference between simply waking up and actually beginning your day with a cleansed spirit. We often imagine that the greatest opposition we face is loud and obvious. But if you have lived through difficult seasons, you know the truth. The most effective weapon against your peace is noise. It is not an army. It is the quiet, constant hum of worry. It is the steady, draining drip of anxiety that whispers you are falling behind, that your efforts are unseen, that the heavy situation you are facing is entirely on your own shoulders to resolve. This is the invisible battle we fight. It looks like a racing mind before the sun even rises. It looks like sitting alone at the edge of your bed, staring at the floor, feeling the sheer magnitude of everything you must carry before the day is over. When your mind is crowded with that kind of noise, there is no room left for the voice of the shepherd. The Lord does not shout over your anxieties. He does not compete with the chaotic, endless dialogue in your head. His voice is the still, small whisper that requires a quieted soul to hear. This is why asking God to cleanse your heart is not just a morning routine. It is a rescue. It is the conscious, deliberate decision to take all those racing thoughts, all the worst-case scenarios you have already played out in your mind, and physically surrender them to a power greater than yourself. Think of a glass filled with turbulent, muddy water. If you simply let it sit perfectly still, undisturbed, the sediment eventually sinks to the very bottom. The water gradually becomes clear. Your spirit requires that exact same stillness. Before you speak to anyone today, before you let the heavy demands of the world rush in, you must sit in the quiet. Just you and the Lord. No distractions. Let the heavy residue of your fears settle. Let His presence filter your thoughts until you can see clearly again. When your heart is clear, you stop reacting to life out of fear and you begin responding out of faith. You step out of your door knowing that the ground beneath you is firm and the one who holds the day is already walking ahead of you. There is a reason the deepest spiritual battles are fought in absolute solitude. When you close the door to your room and the house is finally quiet, there is no one else there. It is just you, the silence, and the raw condition of your own soul. We spend so much of our lives surrounded by others, navigating relationships, managing expectations, and reacting to the people who cross our path. But when you ask the Lord to cleanse your heart, He strips away the crowd. He removes every other person from the scene. In that solitary space, you cannot hide behind anyone else's actions. You cannot point to what they did to justify the heaviness you are holding. It is a deeply humbling moment to sit alone with God and realize that the peace you are looking for does not depend on someone else changing. It depends entirely on your willingness to let go. You might be waiting for a dramatic sign, for the heavens to open up with some brilliant, overwhelming flash to instantly fix how you feel. But the Lord rarely works in artificial theatrics. His presence doesn't need to force its way into the room. His comfort arrives like the natural, steady break of dawn, slow, real, and undeniable. When He steps into that solitary room with you, He brings a mirror, not to shame you, but to show you what you have been quietly carrying without realizing it. He gently points to the unforgiveness that has calcified in your chest. He reveals the silent resentments you have been nursing against those who disappointed you. And He offers you a profound exchange. To have a clean heart is to accept that exchange. It is giving Him the heavy, complicated tangle of your emotions and receiving His simple, unforced peace in return. You don't have to figure out how to forgive the unforgivable before breakfast. You don't have to manufacture strength you do not have. You only have to sit alone in His presence, completely stripped of pretense, and allow His quiet grace to wash over the rigid places within you. When you finally stand up from that place of solitary prayer, something fundamental has shifted within you. You haven't escaped the reality of your life, but your posture has completely changed. You are no longer bracing for impact. You are preparing to walk out the door with a spirit that is light, washed, and securely held by the Father. If you are still here at the end of this video with me, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel and follow us every day. I know that so many of you listening right now are fighting battles that no one else sees, carrying heavy situations you rarely speak about. And my hope is that this space continues to be a quiet refuge for your spirit as we seek the Lord together. Now, before you turn the doorknob and face the demands of this morning, there is a crucial truth you must anchor yourself to. A clean heart is not a fragile heart. We often confuse purity with weakness. We quietly assume that to be soft in the hands of God means being left utterly vulnerable to the crushing weight of the world. But the exact opposite is true. A cleansed heart is actually your greatest, most impenetrable defense. Think about how the enemy operates. When your soul is cluttered with pride, unresolved anger, or lingering insecurities, the enemy has countless hooks he can use to pull you off balance. He uses your hidden resentment to trigger your temper. He uses your quiet anxiety to paralyze your decisions. He preys on the residue we refuse to wash away. But when you have laid all of that at the feet of Jesus, when the Lord has swept the floor of your soul entirely clean, there is nothing left for the darkness to grab onto. You become unshakable, not because you are suddenly tough enough to handle anything, but because you are finally empty of the things that once weighed you down. You can face the opposition of the day with a profound, quiet confidence. The harsh words of others won't penetrate your peace because you have already heard the voice of the shepherd. As you step out of your door and into the rhythm of your day, the world will be exactly as loud as it was yesterday. The demands on your time will still be relentless. The situations you are navigating will still require your attention. God did not promise to dismantle the chaos around you. He promised to preserve the quiet within you. You will notice the shift the moment the day tries to hand you back the heavy luggage you just put down. A frustrating conversation will arise. An unexpected delay will happen. The familiar whisper of anxiety will try to re-enter your thoughts. But today it will find no place to land. It will meet a strange, undeniable stillness. Because a heart that has been washed in the quiet presence of the Lord is no longer desperate to defend itself. It no longer needs to control every outcome just to feel secure. You do not have to carry the entire day all at once. You only have to walk through this very first hour, and then the next. Just take the quiet with you. Let the dust of the world blow past you. Let the opinions of others fall to the ground. You do not belong to the noise. You belong to the shepherd. When you walk with a washed spirit, you walk light. And that is a victory the enemy simply cannot undo. He can try to change your circumstances, but he cannot touch the sanctuary God has established inside your chest. Before you go, the first pinned comment is still there. What I left inside gives you the specific keys Jesus encoded in his parables for keeping that clean heart intact through the full weight of the day. So the dust does not settle back in by noon. Go find it before the morning slips away. If these words resonated with where you are right now, I ask that you subscribe to the channel. Share this video with 5 people in your life who might also be carrying a heavy load and desperately need a moment of peace before they face their morning. Please leave a sincere comment below. Tell me what you are choosing to lay down today, and let me know what subject we should reflect on in our next video. I read what you write. Walk gently today. Breathe slowly. The Lord goes before you and your heart is clean.